Hi and hello watch fans, and welcome to another edition of The Real Time Show with me, your friendly neighbourhood watchmaker, Rob Nuds, joined by our humble rambler, Scarlett Baker, and a returning guest, Carlos Rosillo of Bell & Ross, to talk about what he and his brand have been doing for the last 2 years since we last spoke to them on TRTS way back in August 2023. Carlos, welcome back to the airwaves.
Hello, Rob. Hello, Scarlett.
It's a real pleasure for us to have you back, not only because it's always interesting to see exactly what changes brands have experienced during these tumultuous times, but also to talk about a couple of new pieces that have debuted in recent weeks, and in fact one earlier this week on the 17th of September. But before we do that, let's get a bit of an update. How have things been going? What's the watchmaking landscape like now in comparison to how it was in 2023?
Oh, it's like the word. It's a mess. But this is precisely why it's fun. Because if you know how to sell, you prefer to sell in a messy world and with a lot of wind. Because if you know how to sell, you catch the wind and you go out of the safe harbor.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge that you've faced then over these past 2 years since we've had you on the show?
Not to be surprised by any bad news and to stick to your convictions, to stick to your vision of the brand, to stick to your optimism, and not to compromise, not to be afraid by any sort of bad news, but really to understand that the importance is, the more I get into age, the more I go into the Stoician philosophy. And I think the key is about that. It's just to be able to control the things that you can and to accept the things that you can't control and to be wise enough to differentiate between both. I think this is the key. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I think that since COVID, we understood that, personally, I understood it very clearly that there are things that you don't understand, but there are things that are under your control. And the key is to be in accordance with this philosophy.
It's a difficult thing to find someone that sounds as optimistic as you do. And you sound like, in some ways, you've enjoyed it because it's been a challenge.
You're right. You're right. I enjoy it. I have to apologize because I didn't want the word to be so messy. But I have to confess that it's fun.
And particularly over these past couple of years as well, if we look at your trajectory, Carlos, of, from the founding of Bell & Ross up until now, would you say that these past couple of years have been some of the most testing out of all of them? Has this, period been perhaps more difficult?
Yes and no. Yes, because you don't know what's going to happen the next day. No, because precisely you have to accept that. And there are people who are able to accept it, and there are people who are not able to accept that. I'm speaking with English people, so I think that there is not only ancient Greek who understood that. I have in front of my computer one of the greatest men that I don't have to quote. Let us go forward together. Isn't he right when he was saying that during World War II? I'm speaking, of course, about Sir Winston Churchill. Thanks God for the moment we're not in this kind of situation where he has been confronted. But I think that when you're in a messy world, you have to stick to your conviction. You have to have courage. And I remember a lot of his words when you're in front of war and dishonor. You have to know which one you have to choose, because otherwise you have both. And this is precisely about those kind of values, those kind of internal strengths that you need to have, which makes that you can be confronted to any situation.
So with all of this chaos and, all of these challenges that have been presented to you over the years, what does it mean to you to be celebrating a milestone like the 20th anniversary of the BR01?
This is an achievement because I remember 20 years ago when we introduced this watch, everybody was surprised, but one of the big questions is, can it be successful and can it last? And 20 years later, not only we have last, but I think it has become kind of icon. And this is because of persistence. This is because it was bold. This is because it was avant-garde. This is because because we have stick to this legacy. We have stick, but also being innovative. It means that we didn't put it on the museum side. We have been able to, from the round in a circle with 4 screws from the dashboard, putting it on the from the cockpit to the waist. We have stick to this philosophy, but we have made a lot of evolution going through many, many iterations. It means that, yes, the original D was strong. It was bold, definitely. But going from there, what did we do? We did a lot of innovations, making that with this watch, we have been able to pass through many, many iterations. I remember the skull one. I remember that we also had a lot of instrument exploring the dashboard in many, many ways. I mean, if you remember properly with this, I don't know if you have the visual image that I'm quoting, and if you have all the elements, but we have been able to make that from this iconic shape. We had made some high-end product with horlogerie, some dashboards, some very powerful signage with the skull, some of the iteration which were impossible to read, all black. I mean, it was crazy, and this is the beauty of this bold icon design, that it had many, many interpretations which are very different.
I think you've done a fantastic job as a brand, innovating over the years within the BR01 concept, but also stretching out that concept across new pillars of the brand. And as we're sitting here in 2025, we're looking at the professional, the urban, the concept, and the horlogerie pillars of the brand that all use some element of that original DNA. Mm-hmm. In this difficult time, and it's a time that's difficult for all different brands in different ways, mm-hmm. having an icon like the BR01 must be brilliant, like a comfort blanket, a security blanket or something where you can go back to that and say, this is who we are, and our communication cuts through the noise and the panic that other brands mm-hmm. are suffering. Mm-hmm. But is that the case? Is it still the lifeblood of the brand, or is it an anchor or a foundation upon which you build the next chapter? What's the sales figures like, basically? Does it lead the pack easily, or is it split across those 4 levels quite evenly?
I think behind this icon, there are principles. And it's a simple design, but it's a powerful one. From there, when you have those principles, you have to stick to those principles, but to be able to evolve according to time. One interesting one. Okay, it appeared in 2005. 4 years later, you remember the subprime crisis, 2008, 2009. With Lehman Brothers collapse, etc., and it was also a momentum of challenge of big crisis. And I remember at that time we said Bruno had the bright idea he remembers dispatch that were born by all the top militaries, the elite forces during all the periods, but one of them is during World War II, and he made the interpretation, which was according the airborne philosophy, and he put the skull that is used on the patch, which symbolizes courage, which symbolizes a lot of strength, and he put it on the O1 on this iconic shape to make the BR-01 airborne. And I think this is a good comprehension of where do we go from. It means that the design was powerful, but then we have been able to make many interpretations, and some of them have a lot of power. They can be showing the courage, but they can have a lot of poetry. For instance, one of the latest one was the Astro. No logo on this watch, just the Earth, the Moon, and Mars, and a satellite. No logo, and you had an interpretation of this watch which has a lot of poetry, but sticking to this iconic and powerful design. And I think this shows one of the strengths that we had since day one with this watch, that you understand clearly where it comes from, but it has many, many interpretations that are very powerful. And probably this is, when we say 20 years of boldness, this is not just a motto, just a sentence. It's a reality, which makes that when the times are tough and when you have this anchor, this makes that you don't shiver, you don't, you stick to your direction, which is so important, and which in fact reinforce. There is this, when all the boats are sailing fast, it's probably the biggest who will sail the faster. But when there is a lot of wind, it's the more agile, the one with a good captain who knows where to go and who sticks to his direction that can sail fast. And I think we are in this kind of situation that today, if you're not able to be confronted to tough winds and a sea that is complicated, well, you should stay at the harbor.
Who is Bell & Ross today then? If we look at 20 years on, 20 years of boldness and 20 years from the launch of the BR-01, has the brand shifted in intent or the values at all? Has the consumer shifted throughout those 20 years? What's the sort of change that you've witnessed?
Okay, one of the things that we are very proud is we have stick to who we are. The brand is much mature, a lot of maturity. We have become international. We have an international network. We have a lot of subsidiaries, and we have a team that knows the brand, has evolved, but that we can. We're not. Even if I have a strong French, Spanish accent, we're not just a froggy brand. We are international, and we have this vision which sticks to a strong DNA, but is able to adapt to different cultures. And I think this is important as a brand. And we are. I would say it's strange. Naturally, I would say we are an independent brand, but with a strong backup. But we move as a independent. We don't belong to a group, so we don't have the power that have the group, but we don't have the weaknesses of the group. We are not. We don't have to give report to the markets or to la bourse. I don't know how you say that, to Wall Street or to any of those institutions because we're not quoted, we're not listed. So we can stick to strong convictions and to make sure that we fight strong to make that those convictions are shared by the people who love the brand. Simply as that. I think we are also, and this is something that belongs to our culture, we are a club. I believe in this kind of luxury, to be member of the club. And this is a type of luxury which is different from other philosophies which are not club culture. I remember this Groucho Marx sentence: "I wouldn't want to be member of a club that would accept myself." Maybe we are a kind of exclusive club, but we don't need to be. We're not in a position that we need to eat the word. We need to make sure that our philosophy is respected, that we have alliance which are well connected. For instance, yes, we are international. And I think the base of a luxury brand is the product, the distribution, the image, and the service. And we are able to control, to master the four of them, but in a level that is not huge because we are a challenger. And we have, the period is tough, but you know what? We enjoy it. We enjoy our strengths because we see the difference. I can see, I have so many, sometimes I'm too intellectual, but why not? I remember this so beautiful poem of Rudyard Kipling, "If," and he has said everything that a man should be in his poem, and I think if you are able to capture part of that as a man, as a person in this world, but also as a manager, as a CEO of the brand, I think it's beautiful.
I do agree. I think that it's a great poem to draw some kind of strength or direction from when times do get tough, because it does express exactly the characteristics that you need to lead a brand forward. And moving forward ourselves, let's talk about a watch that you released last month on August the 27th. It's the VR03 chronograph Rafale Solo Display, and it is exactly the kind of Bell & Ross that gets me excited, because it is not only a highly technical watch and a watch that honors the legacy of the brand and of aviation itself, but it's colorful and it's fun and it's the kind of thing that looks like nothing else. So tell us about this 500 limited edition piece, why you've designed it, what message it's sending, and where people can see it on their wrists.
Heritage is important, and partnership. We enjoy aviation, we enjoy tough guys, and I think something like 20 years ago we had begun our collaboration with Dassault, and Dassault has not only beautiful, incredible computers with the Katia, etc., but also some in their planes they have the military one with the Rafale and the civil ones with the jet, with the Falcon. And we have been able to work with both sides, with Falcon and with Rafale. And since a long time, we have been working also with the Army and with the people who are the demonstrators of the Rafale during the Le Bourget exhibition, the International Air Show. Since a long time, we were working with the person, the man who is the demonstrator of the Rafale and who makes this incredible demonstration during the Bourget and other moments to show the capacities of this plane. And the excellence of those pilots who make those demonstrations, the courage, the skills, the precision that they have, and the courage that they have is something that is highly appreciated with high values. It means that we share those values. And after, of course, the plane, the man, and the watch, when you have a good connection between the three of them, and when the man, the pilot, is so proud to wear our watch, wow! And in this incredible decoration of the Rafale, who is making the demonstration, which is the Rafale Solo display, showing the capacities of this plane and showing the excellence of this Rafale. I think this is something that we are very proud. And yes, the colors are stunning. But also you have the technical aspect, because when you look at the watch and then when you see some details with the hands, for instance, of the chrono, which is also with the Rafale shape, when you have all the counters that you can really show the colors that you can find in the plane, when you see on the side the pushers and the start pusher for the chrono or the reset, which are luminescent, when you see all the luminescence aspect. I mean, all those aspects that are little details in the watch, but that you have also those little details in the plane. I think you have a perfect match between the plane, the man, and the watch. And this is something that we are really proud about. We have been able to, during the air show, to express and to tell about the partnership. We had a long story about those partnerships, and now end of August has just been released this watch. And also I remember that you have all the luminescent aspect that is so key. When you are in a cockpit of a Rafale, you see clearly on the indicators of the panel, because you need to be, as a pilot, to understand all the indicators that are on your dashboard very clearly. And I think on a small scale, we're doing the same with the watch.
So where can somebody find one of these? Because with 500 pieces, and given Bell & Ross's status in the world and its popularity around the globe, you'd expect them to not be around for too long. Will they be a boutique-only edition?
No. We're not this kind of animal. No. I would say that bearing in mind the numbers of retailers and the numbers of boutique, I think that we'll have a chance to have one of them in each of the good stores that you're able to go. And it reminds me also one sentence that Marcel Dassault, who was the founder of the Dassault company, he used to say a good plane is a beautiful plane. You could probably say the same about a watch. It's about, the functional design. You can apply functional design in architecture, or making a car, making a plane, or making a watch. It's functional design.
There's a lot of artistry that goes into that as well, though, isn't there? Like the quote that you just dropped as well, and also the functionality. A good plane needs to be able to fly well as well, I suppose, and a good watch needs to be able to tick very well, and it obviously does that, and it's highly legible, like you say, with all of these little Easter eggs that long-time fans of the brand will definitely appreciate. So it's good that there should be some pieces around the world for people to see. Do you think, Scarlett, you'll stop down to any of the retailers in London to have a look at this watch if you get a chance?
If they've got it in Burlington Arcade, I'll be there.
Yeah, probably. But no, absolutely. But another aspect that I have in mind, which I think is important. Today, unfortunately, the world is a mess, and we're speaking a lot about all the conflicts. But I keep in mind something, that the military, the army, is the elite of the technologic, all the capacities that all the brains, the engineering, for instance. For instance, internet. We're using internet today, but initially it was a military language to be used only by militaries. And for instance, Gore-Tex, same. It comes from militaries, or so many things that it's GPS comes from. so many things are coming from the army. And I think we have this, and in the SO, you have the civilian branch and you have the military branch. And I think when you shoot for the top, which comes from the military, then you can apply to civil ones. And I think we are in this kind of philosophy. We are obviously a private owned company. We are civil, but we take our experience. We take a lot of lessons. We take a lot of knowledge from the top technologies, and those top technologies, many times they come from the military world. If you want peace, be prepared. This is the way to handle, all the great militaries, this is the way they behave.
Carlos, are you ever designing specifically for an audience in mind? When you're looking at bringing out new ranges and new products, and we'll come on to some more exciting launches in a second. At the beginning of that process, when you're coming up with a concept and mapping out where it's going to go, is there a particular audience that you have in mind? Because I look at this collaboration here, and to me, this is like the ultimate fan of Bell & Ross watch.
Okay. Yes. Okay. First of all, I have two things in mind. Our product committee, the designer, in fact, is the leader. Because he's the chief of orchestra between the different talents of watchmaking, engineering, professional users, and of course, we look at the commercial side. And we put in common all those aspects to make a watch. Really, and the designer has this talent to make that he's the chief of orchestra of all those talents. But for instance, in this watch that we're talking about, which is the Raffles Solar display, the challenge was to make that the army was happy, Dassault, which is a civil company, was okay and was happy with that we could embrace the project and we were happy with that, and that last but not least, the commercial side would be happy, the dealers would be happy, and the end user, the watch amateur, would enjoy the watch, eventually buy it. And we have to cope with all those aspects. And I think that, a designer is not an artist, but an artist has the freedom to create whatever he wants, even if he doesn't have an audience. Maybe he will have an audience, or maybe he won't. A designer is not that. He works under constraints, he works for a brand, so he has to respect the brand DNA. Well, for Bruno, it's easy because the Bell & Ross is the creator, he's the owner, and he's still there, alive. So he has to respect himself and not to make too many compromise, for instance, commercial compromise, to make sure that the initial dream of Bruno when he was a kid is not compromised by the commercial aspect. Not so complicated when you have Bruno's character. And after you make, I remember this, a good project is when everything is aligned, when you have a perfect alliance between all the planets. And I remember we're speaking about time. Let me go into a field that I enjoy. In the ancient Greek, they used to have three words for time. One was expressing the linear time. The other one was expressing the seasonal one, the one which is cycle, like for instance, like a timing process on a day. And the third one is kairos, which is the momentum that you have a perfect alignment. And I think that when you have a good product, you are in the kairos. You are in the timing where everything is aligned.
So with this idea that everything is aligned and the timing is perfect, we're obviously talking here today and celebrating the launch of your brand new collection, the BRX3. Could you please talk us through a little bit more about this? Why it was the right time to bring this collection out, what this collection does, let's say, differently to other models that you have in your catalogue. What's the sort of ethos behind the BRX3 collection?
Thank you, Scarlett, because you make the perfect transition, and I couldn't agree more with this transition. Okay. We have a long-term strategy. What is this strategy? There is no end of when you want to reach for stars in the technical fields. It means that the quest of sophistication and not technicity, there is no end to that. Yes, we had initially a bold, an iconic shape, which is the O3. Original, simple, readable. From there, we have been able to reach more sophisticated, more surprising cases, but also the watchmaking expertise with, for instance, beginning of the first semester was the skeleton O3, where you could see through the dial, you would see the movement, and there was the X shape with the bridges that design the X shape. But why this X shape? Because we had in mind the X3. What is the X3? It's the natural evolution of this ball design, but with a manufacture movement, with a cost certification, with a 5 years warranty, with, first of all, a very sophisticated movement, very reliable, and a multi-layer design with sophisticated and advanced material, combining, for instance, titanium, ceramic, rubber, and we will have other materials which are even more sophisticated. And the X3 is this natural evolution of we have kept the design of the O3, but we made it sophisticated in terms of design, in terms of materials, and in terms of movement to arrive to this manufactured product. This is, it's what we said. It's the natural version, the evolution of the professional instrument, but with a cutting edge design that makes that really, if you enjoy sophistication, wow, you will be served.
Are there plans to roll the manufacturer caliber out across the whole collection, or what about your involvement with Canisi as well? How does that factor into the future plans?
I think, okay, manufacturer movement is a long debate, which I think it would be complicated, and probably we wouldn't have time in less than 1 hour to. It would be difficult to define what is a manufacturer movement because there are many ways to. What we know is that the end user, the customer, the client, what he cares is about having something specific, well designed, and so well executed that he can rely on. And this is why the quest of precision, and for instance, the quest of the guarantee that we're giving makes that if the brand is confident to give a 5 years warranty, it means a lot. And I think that some people really care about what is inside the motor. Some people do not pay so much attention. This is why we have different levels in our collection, because you can have very good movement with the simple O3, where you have this design, and the level of sophistication of the casing and of the inside of the movement is also good. But obviously, when we have been working with Canisi, who is well known by the watch lovers and the watch aficionados of the specificity of the capacity to make specific movement, and they have been kind enough to make specific movement for Bell & Ross. It means that, yes, they work for other companies, but they have been kind enough to make, for instance, a long-lasting power reserve with 70 hours power reserve and with an indicator that indicates on the dial this power reserve, where you can control and you can measure how much power reserve you have. And we have those three levels. And we have also the haute horlogerie. It means that in the quest of technicity, there is no limit, there is no end to the quest of complexity. It means that yes, you can have a lot of manufacture, and you can have some more basic and sophisticated movement, which are very reliable. And after, of course, it has an impact on price because there is a relation between price towards quality. And the question, it's exactly what you find in the car industry. In the car industry, you can have a similar design, the body, but after, do you need to go at 300 kilometers a mile per hour, or do you want to be driving in a safe way, but not as fast and without a powerful engine that makes that you have a lot of power in the motor? It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. And the level of sophistication also that you can see in the body, because sometimes when you use a motor which is highly sophisticated, the materials and the body can change a little bit, which is what we have done with the X3. It means that it shows the margin likeness and robustness of the case that makes that it's very comfortable with a strong design and a strong movement.
Carlos, I want to ask you, delving a little bit deeper into the BRX3 collection, to summarize it, if I was a first-time buyer, a new consumer, a new client for Bell & Ross, they're looking through your catalogue and seeing the different options that you have available. And with the BRX3 collection that's just launched, what is it? What's the message that you're trying to convey here with this collection? How do you explain it to them? What's the feeling behind it that's perhaps different to other watches that you have?
What we say, it's the advanced time instrument. It means that from this iconic design, we have gone, why did we choose the symbol X3? In the airplane, X generally is for the most sophisticated airplane. For instance, when you're taking the Bell X1, originally it's the plane that broke the sound barrier, and after that, all the X spelling is for the most sophisticated planes. And we are using this X3, and as we're using the X5 is so the O5 line, which is the difference between off-road and in-road, between the more civil and more military stuff. And for us, the X3 is the most extreme and most sophisticated version of the O3 line, where by the movement, by the materials, and by the shape of the construction of the case, you understand that you're going into high level of sophistication. It's what I could say the cutting edge version of the professional instrument watch.
One thing I'm really interested in is the way that you've grown the whole catalogue over the last few years so that you have these 4 distinct pillars. And Scal and I were talking about this off air because obviously we're seeing now a lot of young collectors coming into the industry for the first time. And we're seeing people that haven't known about Bell & Ross for 20 years or 10 years. They've only known about Bell & Ross maybe for 1 or 2 years. And so they've approached this collection as it is, as if it's always been that way. Was the establishment of these pillars, especially with the more urban line, a deliberate attempt to speak to a new audience, an audience that you weren't speaking to before, or was it to give your existing audience more to choose from?
Both. Originally, the O5 was the correspondence. Okay, we had the professional version, and we had something which was more related to when you go into the city, when you're, let's say, civil, when you're not sport, when you can use it daily, whether sport or more formal, more elegant, more jewel. this was the originally, and the second idea about the O5 was to be able to wear on a bracelet. So to have an integrated bracelet on the case, it means that you have a case that is more rounded. It's still square, but it's more rounded, and you have the integration of the bracelet. So you understand very clearly that from two iconic designs. One is the O3 on the professional field. The other one is the O5 on the let's say on the urban aspect. What we have done with those two pillars is to make the evolution of the evolution of the brand, making that you go into sophistication by movement, by shapes, and with the O5, we have been able to grow into more classic and to apply to a more general audience. And one of the demonstrations that you have by that is what we have launched during the first semester. We have launched the 36 millimeter O5. Since 2000, since now 6 years, 2019, when we introduced O5, we have developed this collection with the original shape of O5 was 40 millimeters. Then we have introduced the GMT. There was the chrono at 42, the GMT at 41, the ceramic at 41, and now there is the 36 millimeters, which is slimmer, sleeker, and smarter, and more elegant, more refined, which can apply to men or to women. It's unisex. But it's a very comfortable watch. And with this watch, with this 36 millimeters, you understand that today we cover with the O5 most of the wrist sizes, with whatever the consideration of gender, you can cover from men to women. We don't speak about that. It's a beautiful design. It's a powerful design that can apply to any wrist. And yes, correct. The O3 line, when you see the X3, it's something that it's not. It's comfortable because we have worked on the ergonomic, but it's not. It's big. It's big. It's not a small watch. With O5, it's more jewelry piece. And here you understand really that we have, in fact, as some we have the professional branch and we have the civil one, and we can apply to both people with a level of sophistication that correspond to let's say the watch lover and the interest of the watch lover about the inside, the motor, or more the body.
Carlos, we could talk about this for hours, I'm absolutely sure. So I'm going to finish with one final question for you before we have to let you go. So just reflecting on this and looking at these two core pillars here of the BR03 and O5, and perhaps how the O5 is a little bit more of an urban, a bit more of a contemporary sort of aesthetic. How far is this actually allowing you to see your demographic, your clients, be more diverse, whether that be in age or the professions that they have and their interests? And, specifically looking at this idea of aviation, which really is the lifeblood of Bell & Ross, that's not something that necessarily speaks to everyone. And we look at, younger people perhaps knowing less and less about aviation in the way that they used to previously. So, how do you double down on that? How do you double down on really targeting this new vanguard of watch lovers?
Yes, I think, whether for O3 or for O5, we're lucky not to be considered by a level of age because, yes, globally, statistically, probably the average age of the Bell & Ross customer would be 40, but this probably you would have from many brands. But we can go for early adopters and very young people who, because they like the modernity of the brand, And we have also some people who are very classic, who are very mature, who, because of the legibility, because of the very precise, we can apply to really a broad audience. And this is, I think, an asset because I think that, yes, Ben Ross is a modern brand. We like contemporary, but because we are kind of classic in our modernity, we can apply also to people who appreciate. I know a lot of old people who appreciate functional design, who like bohos, who like those kind of shape where there is not much style, but there is no compromising detail that make that it's what we call functional design. And I think this is a philosophy of how you see the objects, which can touch men or women, which can touch very young people or very mature audience. For instance, one of the the audience that we're very proud, and I know he's a fan and he is a wearer. I mean, we have many celebrities, but Sir Norman Foster for us is a reference of obviously in the architecture field, and he has been an early adopter of Bell and Ross, and probably because of the functional design that we apply. I think it's this philosophy.
As Scarlett said, I'm sure we could talk about this and everything else to do with Bell and Ross for hours, but unfortunately we do have to wrap everything up there. Let's not leave it another 2 years before we get you back on the show, Carlos, because as always, it's brilliant to listen to you, really interesting, great to get an insight into the brand and to be there documenting those changes as it happens. So wishing you all the best for the rest of 2025.
Thank you.
If any of our listeners have any questions for Carlos or anyone to do with Bell and Rossin, please do get in touch with us and we will pass them on. You can do so via our usual channels. Contact us on Instagram via our official Instagram handle @therealtime.show, via the contact form on the website www.therealtime.show, or via our emails either Alon, David, or Rob @therealtime.show. And our humble rambler can be found on Instagram @Scarlintheshire. That's SCARLINTHESHIRE. We'll be back soon with more top quality watch content and interviews with the industry's innovators. Until then, stay safe and keep on ticking.